Today, we're tackling a topic that really hits close to home for, well, pretty much every parent, guardian, or caregiver out there: empowering our kids against bullying. There's honestly nothing quite as universally terrifying as the thought of your kid feeling vulnerable or scared the second they step out that front door. I mean, think about the day they first head off to school. Their entire social world just explodes overnight. Suddenly, they're navigating these complex playground politics and personalities they've literally never dealt with before. It's totally overwhelming for them, and let's be real, it is incredibly anxiety-inducing for us. But hey, here's the good news. We are not helpless here. By breaking down some really practical, foundational strategies from our source guide today, we can completely change the game on how we prepare our kids for the real world. So how do you actually equip a child to face their toughest days at school? It's a heavy question, right? As adults, we feel this massive wave of anxiety wanting to protect our kids from everything. We can't hold their hands during recess. We can't sit right next to them in the cafeteria. We know we can't shield them from every single negative interaction. But what we absolutely can do is give them the armor and the tools they need to protect themselves. And that's exactly what we're going to build today.
Okay, so let's dive into this. Think of this as your personal toolkit that we'll explore together. We're going to cover 1. A core concept called B.I.O. 2. Proactive parenting and starting early. 3. Conflict versus bullying. 4. Validating their feelings. And finally, number 5, actionable steps for kids.
All right, section 1. Bullying isn't okay. Establishing the baseline. B.I.O. Bullying isn't okay. Now, I know that sounds super obvious to us as adults, but for a kid who's navigating tricky social stuff for the very first time, this needs to be a rhythmic mantra. When a child repeats this, it actually becomes a psychological anchor for them. Neurologically speaking, kids thrive on simple, repeatable rules to make sense of the world. By making bullying isn't okay a fundamental law of their universe, you're handing them the internal permission they need to recognize when a boundary has been crossed. It really cements their understanding of how they absolutely deserve to be treated by their peers. Moving right along to section 2, proactive parenting, becoming the ultimate sidekick. The guide points out a brilliant place to start. Just ask, what was the best and worst part of recess today? Notice how that's not just a basic yes or no question. If you just ask a kid, did you have a good day? You're probably going to get a muttered yeah, and that's it. But by using open-ended questions that specifically target the highs and lows of their unstructured time, like recess, you are proactively opening a door. Because, unstructured time is exactly where social friction happens. There are way fewer adults closely monitoring things, and the social dynamics are entirely up to the kids. So by gently and routinely checking in on this specific part of their day, we can uncover hidden issues super early, long before they snowball into a huge problem. Okay, section 3, conflict versus bullying, teaching the difference. This part is absolutely crucial. We've got to help kids spot the true villain by teaching them the difference between normal conflict and actual bullying. Look, conflict is basically just an argument between friends. It happens. It's a completely normal part of growing up and figuring out how to compromise. Kids are going to argue over a dame or feel left out or just have a grumpy day. Bullying, on the other hand, is repeated meanness meant to cause fear or pain. It has a very distinct power imbalance, and the intent is to maliciously harm. One is just a natural disagreement. The other is a repetitive, targeted attack. We have to make this difference crystal clear so our kids aren't, crying wolf over every tiny spat, but are fiercely vigilant when someone is genuinely trying to cause them fear. That brings us to section 4, validating their feelings, the immediate aftermath. Think about that critical moment when a child finally opens up and says they're being targeted. They are carrying this massive, invisible weight of deep shame. So your immediate psychological first aid response has to do 2 things. Number 1, make sure they know it is not their fault. Bullies preyed on vulnerability, and victims so often internalize that abuse, thinking they somehow brought it on themselves or that there's something wrong with them. You have to shatter that illusion immediately. And number 2, make absolutely sure they know you believe them. Give them complete, unquestioning support right then and there. No interrogations, no doubts. By doing this, you're lifting that guilt right off their shoulders and replacing it with the rock-solid security of knowing they are heard and protected. Finally, section 5, actionable steps for kids, equipping the hero. This is where we hand the hero of our story their specific defense strategies. If a kid is actively being bullied, they need a clear, reactive game plan. The core steps are straightforward. Walk away, use a strong voice, and always tell an adult. Let's break these down one by one. Step 1. Picture that recess scenario we talked about earlier. A bully approaches and starts with the repeated meanness. Well, if they feel safe doing it, the child's very first superpower right there on the playground is simply the power of removal. Teach them to confidently walk away and ignore the bully. We really have to drive home to our kids that they do not owe a bully their time, their attention, or their presence. Just removing themselves is a massive show of strength because it literally starves the bully of the reaction they want. A bully is looking for an audience. Walking away denies them the whole shebang.
But, what if walking away just isn't an option right then? That's where step 2 kicks in, using a strong voice. We're talking about a firm stop or that's not nice. Now, the goal isn't to get into a screaming match. Actually, using a calm, strong voice often catches a bully completely off guard. They want fear, they want tears, they want anger. When a kid responds with calm assertiveness instead, it totally wrecks the bully's script. The guide highly recommends practicing these exact phrases at home. Seriously, role play this in the living room until it becomes total muscle memory. That way, when the adrenaline spikes on the playground, they don't even have to think. They just know exactly what to say.
And step 3, the final line of defense, calling in adult reinforcements. A child should never, ever feel like they have to fight this battle alone. Always encourage them to report the behavior to a trusted adult. But don't just leave it vague. Sit down and actually name these specific people with your kid so they have a concrete mental map. Tell them, hey, if this happens, you can go straight to Mr. Davis or Coach Sarah or Mrs. Miller. By naming these specific trusted figures in advance, the child has an exact plan of who to run to when a situation gets way too big for them to handle alone. Which brings us full circle right back to our mantra, B.I.O. Bullying isn't okay. Every single tactic we've talked about today, asking about recess, spotting the difference between conflict and malice, practicing a firm stop, it all reinforces this one undeniable truth in your child's mind. It builds that unshakable boundary that dictates their self-worth and exactly how they expect the world to treat them. The core philosophy of our source text today is summed up perfectly right here. Equip them with these strategies. Because it really is all about transformation. We are taking a child who might feel vulnerable, small, or exposed in a complicated social world, and we're empowering them. We are giving them the tools to know their immense worth, to instantly recognize unacceptable behavior, and to know exactly what actionable steps to take when they face it. Which leaves us with one final thought. We've gone through the toolkit, the B.I.O. baseline, the psychological magic of open-ended questions during unstructured time, and you have those actionable steps to practice until they're muscle memory. The knowledge is right here ready for you to use. So, how will you start the conversation with your child tonight?
Yeah, yeah, hey, B.I.O. Wake up strong, lace up tight, big brave steps, left and right. Push through good, do your best, hands to self, respect the rest. One more squat,